Hey everyone, Dave here. Today I want to go over building a private chain with Neo. So a private chain is a chain installed on a local network, not used by the public. And this is really what you want to have set up for development. So there is a testnet for Neo. You can request gas for that testnet, but you're going to burn through it very fast. So testnet should be the pretty much last stage of your testing, is to deploy it there. So what we want to do is set up a local network here. So there's a few ways to do it. So the first one is on the official Neo site. I've got that open right here on how to build a private chain with Neo. So here they've got setting up some virtual machines, 4 virtual machines to set up 4 instances of Neo that are going to act as our consensus nodes. And they've got a little bit of info here on how to set it up on Azure if you want, which size you want to use. I wouldn't really do it this way. I just set up 4 nodes on one machine running on 4 different ports. But if you want to follow this to the letter, you can here. So once you do that, you're going to want to download the Neo CLI, which is a command line interface to Neo written .NET Core. And you create 4 wallets. Each have their own public key. So you see here, they each have their own public key. Then you got to go to each node's configuration file and open up this protocol.json file. So if you look at this one here, you need to put each one of those public keys into this standby validators section. And then you also need to put their IP and port into this seed list here. So if you're running on different ports, this would be 10333. It would be whatever port you've specified for each unique one. And once you've done that, you got to fire up each node, you got to open each wallet, and then you got to type start consensus. And this should start up a network here. They'll start negotiating and form your own private chain. Now, you only technically probably need 3, so you could shut off 4. It's just good to have 4 in case one has an issue for whatever reason. Now, the really annoying part here, and this is why I don't really recommend this route, is first of all, the chain starts off at block 0. And so now you have to wait for enough blocks to generate to get gas. And you also have to do this step here of extracting the Neo. So you have to install Neo GUI, put in this multi-signature contract here, and then you should see that you get all of the Neo, which is a nice feeling, but you have 0 gas and you're at a very low block height. So now once you have that Neo, you got to walk away from your computer for an hour or 2 and just let it generate until you have enough gas to claim. So it doesn't really get you up and running fast here. It's just really kind of a pain, right? You got to move the Neo back to your account here, they're saying, and do your gas. A much, much better way to do it, I would highly, highly recommend you do this, is using Docker and to get down the Neo private net. So I've got that open here. So it's City of Zion / Neo private net is the name of the repository. There's also a Metacris one. Metacris created this, and then City of Zion adopted that. So this is the more up-to-date one. But if you want to go back in history and see those kind of things, you can here. So it's quite easy to get up and going here. What you're going to want to do is open up your favorite command line tool and do a Docker pull for City of Zion / Neo private net. There we go. So now I ran this yesterday, so hopefully it'll just say that this is up to date and there hasn't been a release since yesterday. Perfect. Now I'm sure I've got the command here back in my history. Docker run. So this is going to create one named neo-privatenet from the Docker image of City of Zion / neo-privatenet. It can be a little confusing if you're new to Docker. We're also going to expose some ports. So here's the saying port 20333 through 20336, and then it's got colon and the same numbers again. So the reason for that is we're saying what ports on the Docker container So this is the ports that are actually running, and then mapping that to how we want them mapped on our local host, right? So we could do this, let's say if we wanted 10 Docker containers all running a web server on port 80, we could take one and map one to port 80, one to port 81, 82, 83, 84, 85 on our host machine and type those in. But all the images are running on port 80. So, yeah, so let's do that. And then there's also this port exposure for 333 through 336. So this should be for the RPC calls. So if you're using RPC, which the Docker image by default sets up and starts out with, and I'm going to give that a second here, and I'm just going to go back to this website here, just kind of show you these instructions are here of what I'm doing. And then I'll grab the next command here is how to actually get into the container. Here. Open that up. So we've got one running now. Computer's running slow. I'll just go back in my history here. So here we're going to exec a bash shell on that private net here. So this is going to kick us right into our Linux prompt. And we can see that we're in the NeoPython folder here. So if you're not too familiar with Docker and Linux here, I'll give you a quick rundown of a few things here. So Docker is going to start up a process. It's going to have a PID of 1, process ID of 1, and that's going to run until once this process exits, the Docker container will shut down. So this needs to run forever. If you want to have a look at it, you can just do a cat, which just lists out the contents of the file. Run.sh uses a screen command. They're basically using this to kind of background this process here and run another shell script. Start consensus node.sh with a few arguments. So which node to start up, which wallet to open, and the password for each wallet. So the password is 1, 2, 3, 4 for each wallet, and then it sleeps for infinity. So if we were to kill this process, it would exit here. But you'll actually see here that there are instances of .NET neo-CLI running here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what we can do is we can navigate to those. So they will be an opt node, whatever number, neo-CLI. If we list it out, we get all these files. The big thing we want to look at here is the protocol.json. So this again is the file that has our standby validators in it, and the public key is already set up. The seed list, so as I was saying here, they're all running on different ports on the same machine. And the big thing here too is this magic number. So this will be different for every network. So the Neo public network will have a different magic number, the testnet will have a different number, the City of Zion testnet has a different number, and this private net has a different number. So this is going to be used in the communication back and forth, and that way I believe its intent is so that one network's not going to talk to the other with conflicting data and you get weird information. I'm assuming it's used as seed information for any of the cryptography. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to copy that information. And you can open up whatever client you want to. So I've got downloaded here the NeoGUI. It's source. You don't have to get it from source. You could just take an existing copy of it, download it, and put in this protocol.json. So I've already put this in here with the same seed list here. Now, if I was exposing this container maybe across my network, I had this on a central server, I had a team of developers that I wanted to share the same testnet, we'd actually put in the IP address of that system. The other thing, I believe this is done by default, but you want to make sure here, if you're using Visual Studio, that it has a copy to output directory and it's not set to do not copy, because otherwise you're going to get the wrong one. But with that going, we should be able to start up a client here. Now, we can use any client, as I said. We can use NeoPython, as long as it knows about this protocol.json file. So while that's, well, actually that should start up pretty quick here. Okay, so now I've got this GUI set up. I just paused the video for a second here just to sync the blocks so we weren't sitting around watching that. So here we've got just shy of 10,000 blocks here, and we're connected to 4 peers. So that's our 4 Neo CLI nodes. And what we want to do now is we want to create a new wallet file. And we're going to just create this as demo. Save that. Give it a password. Come on. May take a second here for it to sync up to the next block. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that WIF key off of the Docker Hub site, and we're going to import that WIF key. That WIF, that address has all of the Neo. There. So we're going to go import from WIF. We're going to paste that in. And it's probably just syncing this up a little bit in the background here to figure out what's happened with this address. But I know this AK2N is the right address. And eventually, we should see we've got 1 million Neo. So now at this point, what you can do, once we do see that, is you can delete this old address just so there's no conflict, or you can transfer this Neo to a different address if you want. I typically just use this one myself, but that is up to you. So I'm going to just delete that here. Now it still says it has 0 Neo, 0 gas, so I'm just going to do a rebuild index here. So that's going to start and rescan the blockchain and say, okay, what transactions impact me? So you can see here that there was 1 million Neo to start with at this block. There was a small gas claim, and then once this gets up to pretty much the 9.5 mark, yeah, here, now we've got gas going, right? So, and there's still some we can claim. We got lots there, and that's pretty much it. You got an environment set up and running pretty quick. The big thing is to make sure that your protocol.json file is right. And the last thing I want to show you as well that trips some people up is if you already had this running, let's say against the public net or test net here, if you look in the bin folder, I might need to refresh this one here. Let me just stop this so I can do that. Come on. So you'll see here there's a chain testnet here. So that's the chain that was downloaded. One of the big problems is if you have a chain already downloaded and then you switch something or reset the chain, your client doesn't realize that. So you have to go in here and you just delete the folder, delete the existing chain, and have it bring it back down again. If you've been running your Docker container for quite a while, you may want to reset this. So instead of having your client start up and have to sync down, thousands of blocks or hundreds of thousands of blocks or however many blocks you've got, you may just want to reset your development environment. And this is the big thing you've got to do. So you can reset up the Docker container and just delete that network. And that's it. That's up and running with a simple private net. So hope that works out great for you. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments.